Welcome to the Dare to Grow Show. I'm Sarah Morgan, and my mission is to help you take daily action in your business, show up consistently and confidently for your audience, and earn more with digital products and programs. I know you have a rad vision for your life and business, but do you dare to grow? Let's jump into this episode and talk about how to make it happen. All right, friends, welcome to episode number 90. We are so close to 100. I'm very excited to hit that milestone. So 2022 is right around the corner, and this is an excellent time to look back at what you accomplished over the past year. What worked, what didn't work, so that you can make a plan for 2022 based on actual data. So today I'm going to give you a list of all the things I like to check over in my business so that I am never starting my new year plan from scratch. And a little nerdy hint before we dive in, everything I'm giving you, turn it into a template. So write down all of the questions and all of the things you need to check on and create a document so that next year you can copy and paste all of the same stuff and fill it in again. This will give you year after year information on your business that will help you predict trends and sales and create faster growth because you'll be focused more on the stuff that you know works and quickly ditch the stuff that doesn't. And if you haven't already, make sure you've got something to write with or bookmark this episode so that you can remember to come back to it. So the first thing you want to do is survey your audience, your customers, and clients. And I have a whole episode on surveying your audience and asking questions that will get you answers that you actually can use. So I'll leave the link to that in the show notes. But when I say survey your audience, I mean people who are following you but haven't purchased or hired you. This might include people following you on Instagram or Facebook. It might be YouTube subscribers, podcast listeners, email subscribers. And you essentially want to take the temperature of your audience and figure out what their goals are, what their biggest challenge is right now, and what is keeping them from moving forward and taking action on that thing they keep saying they want to do. And then you also want to send out surveys to anyone who purchased a program or bought a product from you. And if you have multiple offers, you might be sending multiple surveys. And then I also send a survey to Dare to Grow members, whether they are current members or they were in the membership previously. And for those people, I'm asking things like, where were you at before you purchased or hired me? And where are things at now? So I would talk specifically about their marketing and their business. I would ask things like, what is the main thing you learned or your biggest takeaway or accomplishment? I ask if they have any stats they want to share or if they checked off any specific goals. I ask what they would say to someone who is thinking about joining the membership. That's a really good way to get word for word copy that you can use for promotions, for ads, for your sales page. And then I ask about specific parts of the program individually. So I'll include questions about the live coaching calls, asking what they liked best, and what they would change about the coaching calls to make them better. And this tends to make the feedback on my end feel a little bit like softer. Like even constructive criticism sometimes is tough to read. But because I'm not asking them what was wrong with something or what was the worst part of it, the feedback is a little easier to take. And that change in phrasing also tends to get me better responses and more responses because people are not worried about offending me or sharing something negative. You also want to assess what projects or promotions worked or didn't work. And this is why we do a CEO check-in every month in Dare to Grow so that students have a record month after month and they can spend more time looking into patterns and details of what worked or didn't instead of trying to remember what happened 9 months ago. So start making that a monthly process. If you join me in Dare to Grow, there's a live call, so I will definitely keep you on track for that. And the things you want to take stock of, what did you enjoy or not enjoy spending time on? Your job is going to get a lot easier the more time you spend on stuff you actually enjoy or is in your zone of genius. You also want to look at what tasks slowed you down, what did you procrastinate on, what deadlines did you push back on repeat. Paying attention to this helps me avoid taking on projects and tasks that I just will never finish. And then where can you hire help? what tasks never happened or projects never happened because you just ran out of time. What things would you benefit from taking off your plate? So I hired an assistant this year mainly to get myself out of my inbox, even though my inbox is not that crazy, and also to take on all of those little tasks that I've been wanting to check off but never have the time. One other thing that you're going to want to do every single month so that you don't have to go through everything at the end of the year is tracking your numbers. So along with the CEO check-in and worksheet, there is also my growth tracker spreadsheet inside of Dare to Grow. And this is the exact spreadsheet I use and have been using for years to track my sales, my affiliate income, expenses, ad spend, general stats for things like blog traffic, email subscribers, podcast listens, Instagram followers. It's all in one spot, which means at the end of the year, I can just scan through and see which of my courses sold the best, which platforms brought in the most subscribers, and where I was investing in my business that was actually worthwhile. Right now, I just have the membership, but in past years, I had like 5 to 10 offers available. And so I could see very obviously that certain courses, like my Instagram course or my productivity course, sold better than things like my email course. And knowing which courses or which offers sell better means that next year you can put more time into promoting those things, which will grow your revenue faster. Next up, you want to be checking your social media platforms. So if you are posting to Instagram and Facebook and Pinterest and you're noticing that you're not really getting a lot of traffic from Facebook or you're not getting as many customers or clients from Pinterest, then maybe you just focus on the other platforms that worked. This is why I don't spend time on Twitter anymore, because it wasn't really bringing in new customers or clients, and it definitely was not bringing as much traffic to my website as search engines and Pinterest. And when I made that decision, it was because I wanted to take those hours that I was spending on Twitter and put them into Instagram and Pinterest instead. Actually, I ended up hiring someone to do Pinterest, so then I could focus all of my hours on Instagram. So don't be afraid to ditch platforms or hire help for platforms, even if you've been spending a lot of time trying to make them work. If a different platform converts better, then you want to be putting more time into that instead. You should also be tracking data on any events or promotions you did. So this could be your freebies, it could be events, workshops, webinars, interviews. So this past year, I was on a handful of podcast episodes. I participated in 2 online summits, and I hosted a whole bunch of webinars and I think 1 or 2 challenges. So part of your end of year review should be looking at the data from each of those promotions and seeing if you got new clients or customers. Was there email list growth or follower growth on social media? Did you earn affiliate revenue? If something didn't work, you definitely don't want to be putting your time into that again, and you don't want to be promoting something that your audience didn't really respond to the first time around. So this will help you determine the best projects and promotions to put your time, energy, and money into going forward. And yes, I track everything in Airtable. And we also want to be looking at investments. What investments did you make this year that were worthwhile or not? So you can plan on the investments you make next year. So what trainings, events, courses did you spend money on this year? And what did you get out of each? So having notes from things you invested in will help you more easily make decisions on future investments. So once you have data on what you learned or what investments were really worth your time and you got a lot of value out of, you want to be looking at what do you need to learn or get better at or invest in next year. And maybe you need to hire someone to help you with financial stuff, or maybe you need to take a course on creating content for TikTok. That will be in Dare to Grow this week, actually. Maybe you need to boost your design or video editing skills. So you don't have to know exactly what program or who is creating that program, but having an idea of the skills that it would be beneficial to improve will be helpful in setting a budget for education and investments when you plan for next year. Okay, next up, you need to track your time. This is something I do a couple of times a year, and one of those times is usually at the end of the year so that I can adjust my schedule and what I am personally focused on day to day so that I'm hitting my goals more easily. The first part is to track everything you're doing during business hours, whether that's a personal task or a business task, for 10 to 14 days. So writing emails and running errands and creating Instagram posts and taking my dog to the park, all of that gets listed, and I'm putting down how long it's taking me and any notes. So if I went to write an email and I decided to scroll on Instagram for 30 minutes to get myself going, write down that you procrastinated so that you can see where you are really spending your time, where all of those hours are going. And then after that 10 to 14 days, look at every task and determine whether you should keep spending time on that or spend more time on that. Most of this stuff should be in your zone of genius. You also want to determine whether it's really valuable for your business, whether you should hire someone else to do the task, or whether you should just completely take it off your schedule. Let me tell you, taking things off my schedule always feels so good. So go for it. You can always put it back on if it turned out to be the wrong move. This can also help you see where you're procrastinating or where you're focused. I know that doing creative stuff after 3 p.m. totally stresses me out because I want hours and hours to focus on something. And I usually try to be done with work by 4 or 5 o'clock. And I also know that I don't like a full workday on Fridays because I'm usually more interested in running errands and cleaning the house, so I don't have to do that stuff on the weekend. So with that info, I can adjust my schedule accordingly, and it will make my workdays much easier. Okay, 2 more things left on my list. Number 1 is to check in on past clients and customers. So often when a client contract is done, we kind of just move on to the next person, either someone who's already in our schedule or going and finding another client. And sometimes we even feel annoying sending extra emails to them or checking in. But past clients can be one of your biggest assets because not only might they want to work with you again, but they might have someone to refer to you, which means end of year is a great time to send out a business update, a thank you for working together, and a reminder that you have space open if they're looking for someone to work with next year. And then lastly, you got to take time off and celebrate your accomplishments. We talked about this on a podcast episode a couple of weeks ago, so there is a full episode on prepping to take time off. But I definitely recommend taking at least a week, maybe a couple of weeks off at the end of the year so that you are recharged and ready to dive back in January. And during that time off, you need to do something to celebrate. Even if it wasn't a record-breaking year, even if you didn't check off anything big and exciting, even if you didn't really hit your goals, you still need to celebrate because you did the work, you made it through the year, you're still going, and I bet you've got some happy clients and customers out there. So schedule some time to sit back, survey your empire, even if it's little and just beginning, and feel proud of yourself. My celebration usually includes a piece of cake, or many pieces of cake if I like Postmates Cheesecake Factory. And I usually end up with a new pair of shoes, although I did spend 99% of this year in flip-flops because there wasn't really anywhere to go. So I might get myself a different prize this year, one that I'll actually be able to use. So make sure you pick a date in the next month or so to go through every inch of your business and evaluate what you've done and collect all your data. If you've never done this before, definitely take the time this year so that you can start tracking data every month and have a system in place to make your end of year check-in much faster. And then, of course, head over to Instagram, find me at XO Sarah Morgan, and let's chat. Do you usually do an end of year review? Is this your first time? And I want to know if you found anything that you're going to spend more time on or anything you are planning to ditch. I'll have to share that with you guys over on Instagram once I go through and do my review. All right, I hope this was helpful. I hope you're feeling good about what you accomplished this year. I've got a couple of more episodes coming before I take my time off. So I will talk to you again next week. Oh, and one more thing before I go. If you have any questions on anything we talked about today, or if you are looking for help to market and grow your business, head over to daretogrow.co
That's daretogrow.co, and join us in Dare to Grow. It's my membership for solopreneurs looking to simplify their marketing, show up with confidence, and finally grow their online business. You will get instant access to all of the trainings, the twice monthly coaching calls, our monthly planning and goal setting call, and our super supportive Facebook community filled with solopreneurs just like you. Seriously, it's so good. If that sounds like something you need, link is in the show notes or visit daretogrow.co, and I will see you inside.